All right, let's talk about finding a great dog trainer right here in Spanish Fork. It can honestly make a huge difference in how you and your dog get to experience our city. We're going to walk through exactly what you should be looking for so you can feel good about your choice and really start enjoying everything this community has to offer, together.
I mean, life with a dog in Spanish Fork is pretty awesome, right? You've got beautiful spots like the river trail, the sports park, all the community events. But being able to actually enjoy all of that with your dog means having a pup who's calm and confident out in public. And that right there is where good training is just everything.
So, you might be asking, why does a local trainer matter so much? Well, think about it. Someone who knows Spanish Fork gets the specific things you'll run into. The distractions on the river trail or just the general vibe at the dog park. That local know-how makes the training so much more useful for your actual everyday life. Okay, so local knowledge is one thing, but what really separates a good trainer from a great one? It really boils down to two big things: their whole approach to training, their philosophy, and of course, their professional credentials. Now, the method you'll hear about most, and for good reason, is positive reinforcement. Honestly, it's the gold standard. This isn't about forcing your dog to do things. It's about building a real partnership. You're rewarding the good stuff, the behaviors you want to see more of. And what happens? You get a dog who wants to listen to you. It's super effective, it's humane, and it builds an incredible bond. So how do you actually know if a trainer knows their stuff? Well, you look for certifications. It can feel like alphabet soup, but for general training, look for things like CPDT-KA or KPA-CTP. Those show a trainer has a really solid, tested foundation of knowledge. Now, if you're dealing with tougher issues like serious fear or reactivity, you'll want to look for a specialist, someone with a credential like the IABC-CDB. And on the other side of that coin, it's just as important to know what to steer clear of. This is a big one. Any trainer who uses intimidation, fear, or physical corrections, that's a major red flag. Those methods are outdated and they can be really harmful. The bottom line is that stuff doesn't actually fix behavior problems. It usually makes them worse by breaking your dog's trust. Okay, let's get down to the practical stuff, shall we? We're going to look at the different kinds of training programs you can find and, of course, what you should probably expect to budget for them here in the Spanish Fork area. So, the two most common choices you'll see are group classes and private lessons. Group classes, they're awesome for practicing skills like stay or walking nicely on a leash when there are other dogs around. But private lessons, those are amazing for zeroing in on specific things happening at your house, like say, your dog jumping all over visitors or going crazy when the mail carrier comes. And of course, there are other options for more specific needs. Puppy classes are a must for socialization and getting those basic skills down early. Behavior modification is for the more complex stuff like fear or anxiety, and then you have board and train programs, which are really intensive, with the dog living with the trainer for a bit. Just to give you a ballpark idea for your budget, a single 1-hour private lesson around Spanish Fork is usually going to be somewhere in that $80 to $150 range. Of course, that can change depending on the trainer's experience and what they specialize in.
And here's a more detailed breakdown of what you might see locally. You can see how something like a 6-week group class, maybe $140 to $250, is pretty different from a big investment like a 2-week board and train. This table should really help you line up your goals with what feels right for your wallet.
All right, so once you've narrowed it down to a few trainers, you'll likely have a consultation. Remember, this is your chance to interview them. You want to make sure they're the right person for the job, and asking the right questions is how you do it.
So, are you ready for that chat? Let's make sure you're prepared to figure out if this trainer is the perfect match for you and your pup.
Here are 6 questions you absolutely have to ask. First, what's their training philosophy? Make sure it's positive reinforcement. Second, what are their credentials? You want to see that proof of expertise. Third, ask how they'll tailor the plan specifically for your dog. No cookie-cutter approaches. Then, which services do they actually recommend for you and why? Also, how do they track progress? You need to know what success looks like. And finally, always ask for a written estimate of all the costs. No surprises. Okay, let's bring this all back home to Spanish Fork. Because training isn't just for your living room, right? Knowing the local rules and the best spots to practice is how you make these new skills stick in the real world. Every dog owner in Spanish Fork really needs to know these 3 things. First, we have a leash law. Your dog has to be on a leash no longer than 6 feet anytime you're not on your own property. Second, that rabies tag has to be up to date. That's state law. And last, just be mindful of excessive barking.
It's really all about being a good neighbor.
So where can you go to practice all these new skills? The Spanish Fork Dog Park is, of course, the perfect place for safe off-leash practice, especially for recall. The Murdoch Canal Trail? It's ideal for working on that loose leash walking with real distractions like joggers and cyclists. And if you want a great spot for a leashed hike to practice focus, Maple Canyon is just fantastic.
You know, at the end of the day, getting the right training isn't just about fixing a few problem behaviors. It's about deepening that bond with your dog. It opens up so many more things you can do together, whether that's just a relaxing walk downtown, visiting a friend's house without stress, or enjoying a park. So we really hope you find the perfect trainer and get to enjoy all the great things Spanish Fork has to offer with your best friend by your side.